Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, in spite of Jill's attempt to murder me yesterday, I am back with a vengeance.
Thanks for that Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, somebody tweeted that, oh my God, Jill tried to kill Kelly Klass.
I know. It's not my fault. But I did bring you some caramel corn.
Yeah. Now she brings me... Yesterday,
that didn't work.
Yesterday she brings me Rice Krispie treats, and I'm allergic to almonds, so they're loaded with almonds and almond butter.
But I told you.
Yeah.
You
she
can
gives
pick
me
out
50%
the almonds.
of the information. Oh, just eat around the almonds. She didn't mention anything about the almond butter.
I forgot about the almond butter.
Yeah,
thank God you didn't have a
conveniently.
Serious... Well,
and then
I would never do that on purpose.
And this morning she brings me caramel corn.
Yeah, it doesn't have almonds in it.
I
you
have
can eat
had
that.
I've had this before, so it's probably
so you're okay.
Safe, unless you changed ingredients or something without
I'm
telling
just
me.
here to kill you, Kelly.
So,
I'm just saying. 2 months. Why? I can't wait 2 more months for you to retire. I'll just end you now. Save the company money on the retirement party.
You'd probably make a few people happy too.
Would I? Not as many.
I know of at least
if
2
you fed
right
me
off
almond
of the bat.
butter. Yeah, right.
And they haven't called recently. I'm kind of shocked.
I know. Where are my callers? Where are my fans? Anyway, it's hump day, but we don't know that because Kelly lost all the bumps for the song.
I know.
Whatever.
I'm sorry. We're going to talk at 8:30 to I know I have her. Oh, Tana Barton. Going to talk about CASA's Fall Fashion Festival coming up. At 8:40, we have Catherine Talkington, who's running for state representative, District 24B, against Steve Hartgen. 9 o'clock, we have Twin Falls City Councilman Chris Talkington for State of the City.
Oh, it is Chris. Okay,
yeah,
I wasn't sure.
State of the City, unless they made a last-minute trade.
We never know.
And then at
9:20,
9:20, it's Don Hudson, who's running for state representative in 26B, I believe it is.
People are going, where?
Yeah. Well, it's in Blaine County. It's in the Blaine County.
Well, you know, our radio station reaches pretty far up there.
It does. Yes, it does. So
okay,
one of your fans is on the line. Top Story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, lovely Jill.
Hello.
Jill. The money was already in the mail. Oh, come on, Jill. You got to do better next time. Okay?
I swear I did. I forgot. I just was worried about the big almonds. I didn't think about the almond butter.
We're going to have to try something else. Shoot. That's the drawing board.
Oh, my. Sorry, Cal. You know it's only in jest.
Sure I do.
No, it's true. It's only in jest.
Okay, anyway, we got some interesting news this morning. The first thing, you've seen those disclaimers that say stuff like, don't use this electric hairdryer in the shower, right?
Yeah, or don't try this because we have a stunt driver.
Yeah, this is on a closed course. Don't try this at home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't smoke while fueling up your car.
Right.
That can be deadly.
That could be deadly.
Don't stare at the sun with no eye protection.
We've heard that from Chris Anderson ad nauseum.
Yeah. So
what's next?
It seems stupid that you actually have to warn people about stuff like that, right?
Not really, because they usually end up in some lawsuit, and then they go, okay, put a warning on there. Okay, what?
Here's one that the U.S. Forest Service had to issue lately. Don't take selfies with bears in the wild. I kid you not. In the Tahoe National Forest.
I just want to know, are the bears standing there with you? I mean, really? Is this what you're doing?
I saw pictures of people who take bears with selfies. The U.S.
Was
Forest Service...
that before they were eaten?
The U.S. Forest Service wants the idiots to know that running up to bears and snapping selfies with them is a bad idea. U.S. Forest Service spokesperson says the tourists are becoming more and more bold with approaching the creature for memorable snapshots.
Really?
Lisa Herron, a spokesperson for the U.S. Forest Service's Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit, says that visitors to Lake Tahoe need to be more concerned about their safety than about their social media profile pictures.
We could say that on so many levels, I'll take a selfie as I'm driving with one hand, with my head out the window.
We've had mobs of people that are actually rushing toward the bears trying to get a selfie photo.
Stop.
It is presenting a safety issue. We're afraid someone's going to get attacked. This issue is getting so out of hand that the Forest Service is threatening to shut down certain areas if people continue to act recklessly with their cameras around wildlife.
You know what? I'm surprised you haven't said this. It serves them right when they're like
that
an appetizer for the bear.
Let them go. Let them do that. If they're stupid enough to do that, let them go. If you're stupid enough to shower with your electric hairdryer and suffer the consequences, it's called the Darwin theory.
And then the bear will say, do you have any salt and pepper to go with this? Maybe a little ketchup. He's a little dry. Like, what are people thinking?
I am upset at the Forest Service for spending this time and money to warn people not to take selfies with bears.
To protect
let them go.
Protect the taxpayers that pay their salaries. They're probably like, maybe I should protect them. He's paying taxes.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I thought, are you kidding me? They have to warn people not to take selfies with bears.
Okay.
Don't kiss someone with Ebola.
Well, I've heard the most ridiculous things with Ebola. This woman, the teacher in Oklahoma now, she came back from Rwanda. It's not near Sierra Leone. It's not near Nigeria.
They had one instance of Ebola in Rwanda,
and so now she's in quarantine for 21 days. I'm like, we are out of our minds. Anywhere in Africa now, you're like, come on.
She was actually farther away from Ebola in Rwanda than many people are from the Ebola that happened in Texas. So I guess by going by that theory, we need to quarantine everybody within 1,000 miles.
Texas?
I don't know.
That might be a good start. It's a little crazy down there. And I've lived there, so don't give me grief. I lived there 6 years.
You're an expert on Texas now.
My family still lives there, so you know what? A little quarantine for Texas might help it.
But you have family living everywhere.
Well, no, I don't. I just have a few spots.
In fact, tomorrow we're going to be talking to Millie, who is your niece-in-law. She's from Sierra Leone, for crying out loud.
She is. Her mom is still in there, and she's been telling us some interesting information. What's happening? She hears it daily. So she's coming on to
that'll be interesting.
Talk about Ebola, and then we'll all be.
She's your relative.
Yeah, and then we'll all be self-quarantined for 21 days, Kelly, just because she said the word Sierra Leone.
7360300. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a beautiful morning. You were talking about idiots posing with bears. Well, I was in Yellowstone Park, and there was a park ranger standing close to me, and this guy sent his 10-year-old boy down in those reeds to flesh out this moose, and his dad said, get really close because you're going to have to scare him. That ranger turned to me and goes, idiot number 5,000 something.
Yeah.
So he had to go down there and rescue this boy.
Oh my. No. Can you imagine what these forest rangers see? Seriously, we're like pathetic.
Moose are deadly.
Yeah.
They can be.
They're not happy.
Leave
them alone.
They're pretty territorial. Thank you for that information.
Thank you.
Not surprising, though. Not surprising at all.
Not
People think
surprising.
That's cute. Speaking of idiots. Remember yesterday we were talking. Excuse me.
Don't even blame it on my caramel corn. You didn't try any yet, did you?
No, but I did handle the package, so.
It's in a baggie. Okay, I just want the listeners to know I did not poison you today.
Uh-huh.
I didn't try to yesterday.
Right.
It just worked out that way.
A Brigham Young University, Idaho student. We talked about this kid yesterday. Police say made a post on social networking site about plans to shoot up BYU-I.
What could go wrong with that, huh?
Has been cited for misdemeanor disturbing the peace.
Oh, so he did get his little hand slapped.
He did.
Thank you.
The Post-Register reports that Rexburg police on Monday cited 19-year-old Joshua Tanner David a day after the post that lit up social networking sites. Police say he made the post at about noon Sunday on a site called Yik Yak and expected software to prevent it from posting. Now, okay. I'm sorry.
There's hardly words, really, to respond to this guy's rationale.
So now we're expecting software to stop all of our stupid, idiotic moves. I wonder if they've got software that can stop you from taking a selfie with a bear.
Apparently not. That's why they have the forest rangers. It's like, oh, my gosh.
Anyway, he is scheduled to be arraigned on Election Day.
Oh, nice.
November
How appropriate. Anyway, I don't know. Can't he, shouldn't he be studying more? Why does this guy have this much time Just go study
Hey,
harder.
it was Sunday at noon. For crying out
He
loud.
should be. Well,
He
if
was
he's
bored.
at BYU, they should be in church. They spend a
Yeah.
lot of hours in church. He should have been there.
Say, here's a kind of voting machine that apparently is making its debut now across the country. If you try to vote Republican, it automatically votes Democrat.
Well, that would be nice.
Oh, I know it would.
Well, they
Jill.
had this. This is the
would.
problem with the paperless ballot. They had this back in the other 2000 elections where it was going the other way, where people would hit it. This is what I don't like about these machines, and there's no paper trail. I'm sorry. They could be programmed anyway.
There are some things where technology and progress just don't
How about
match.
just connect the arrow like they did in Kimberly for a long time?
Let me read the story. Early voting just started last week in Maryland, but there are already accusations that some voting machines are changing Republican votes to Democrat. Now Republicans are calling for an investigation by the State Board of Elections. Republicans say that they have received several dozen reports of Republican votes being changed to Democrats. New GOP leaders are calling for now GOP leaders are calling for an investigation. But the State Board of Elections say they received less than 20 reports of calibration issues with machines. 12 have been thoroughly tested, and the problem could not be replicated. The others are out of service. In a statement, board officials say election officials receive similar reports in every election. Post-election analysis has shown that this is caused by voter error.
Well, this one was interesting. Voters with large fingers or long nails, or voters who hold the touchscreen with their palm resting on the screen, seem to report the issue more frequently. Okay, this is my other observation. If that happened to me, I wouldn't just go, thank you. I would call the person right over and say, change this vote. I wouldn't leave. I mean, you have to question, is this true? Are these rumors? I wouldn't let my vote, I say my vote wouldn't be counted. Like, you'd have to change it.
Maybe they did call someone over, but what can they do? This is a computer. They have people that they're volunteers helping at the polls.
You have county clerks. Christina Glasgow, you call the county clerk. I wouldn't leave the place until my vote was changed back.
I wouldn't either.
So, I mean, I don't agree with these machines at all, because we heard problems in presidential elections going the other way. But I would not leave you would have to pry me out of the election area.
If you haven't seen the movie Man of the Year with Robin Williams, you got to watch it, because it is about a comedian who becomes a presidential candidate, and it's about online voting. And I'm not saying that they're not going to perfect it someday, but it just shows you a possibility. You need to watch it. Man of the Year, Robin Williams. Pull it up on Netflix or something. 736-0300 is the number, and we'll be right back. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Dave Hansen and the crew at Canyon Pond want you to stop by and see everything that they have in the store. Now, we were there last week, but I'm sure that there's probably all different sorts of stuff there now, because that is the nature of a pawn shop. And the pawn shop, the Canyon Pawn, is the newest pawn shop in Twin Falls. So stop by, see their camping stuff, their woodworking stuff, fishing poles, tools, and guns. They've got lots and lots of guns. And with this being hunting season, that would be the first place to stop on your way out of town, heading hunting. Get a new gun. They are on Shoshone Street, right across from Wells Toyota on 3rd Avenue South and Shoshone. Easy to find. Tell them that we told you to stop by. Say hi. I actually talked to a couple of people last week who hadn't been there yet. I think they were the only two people in the Magic Valley who haven't stopped by Canyon Pond.
Well, Dave says a lot of people are stopping by.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We have going to be talking about CASA and an event they have coming up here shortly. We have Catherine Talkington running for state representative at 8:40. At 9 o'clock, we have State of the City with Twin Falls City Council person Chris Talkington. And at 9:20, we have Dawn Hudson, who's running for state representative in District 26. So going to be a busy day today. You had an interesting question about cheesecake.
Well, no, I didn't. Someone, I do Death by Chocolate. We have 5 categories: cake, cookie, candy, brownie, unique dessert. Someone said they wanted to do a cheesecake in the cake category and asked me if it was a cake. So I looked it up. According to all the research and sources, It's considered either a pie or a tart. It is not considered a cake.
Really?
Yeah.
So why do they call it a cake?
I don't know
Should it
why
be a
they call
cheese
it a
pie
cake.
or a cheese tart?
Some people say it should be called a cheese pie.
Really?
Yes.
I think they should call it a cheese gel because it's more like a gel.
Oh, God,
you know?
that's gross. So anyway, there will not be a cheesecake in the cake category for Death by
Really?
Chocolate this year. Well, you have to be, it's pretty. You can't just throw stuff in. He could maybe be a unique dessert, but that category's filled.
Oh,
So sorry.
Well,
It's got to either be a
I don't
cookie,
know.
candy, brownie, cake.
We got a caller here.
We've had issues in the past. Trust me, we're not doing issues.
We got a
again.
caller here. Somebody might want to disagree with that.
Go ahead.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I don't want to disagree with it. I want to talk about the bear issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all I wanted to say is I'm going to miss you when you're gone, Kelly, and I would wrestle a bear for you. It wouldn't be a grizzly. It wouldn't be a black bear or even a panda.
A stuffed?
But a Care Bear, I'd take that sucker on for you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Good morning.
All right. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
call.
I know. I hear that all over town. I'm going to miss Kelly. What's going to happen? What are you going to do? Where's going to happen?
I'm going to go wrestle bears. Take
Kelly-
selfies.
Kelly's going to see if he can survive the selfie with the bear. Maybe there's a bear in your ham radio basement we don't know about.
Okay, there's a 34-year-old man facing a long list of charges in connection to the robbery of the Twin Falls Pharmacy over the weekend. Save More Drug was robbed. Police say with the help of a SWAT team, they arrested Billy Joe Bodenhofer
Really?
at his home on the 800 block of Elm Street North Tuesday afternoon. Billy Joe.
Billy Joe.
I don't know if he's
What was his name? Billy Joe Bodenhofer.
Bodenhofer. Right. But he held up Save More Drug on Main Avenue Saturday, allegedly. Store employees told police that the suspect showed a handgun and demanded specific prescription drugs.
So is he?
He's been charged with robbery, aggravated assault, kidnapping, burglary, and possession of controlled substance.
Who did he kidnap? Did
I
he
don't know.
kidnap the pharmacist? No.
Well, if you're standing there holding a
Kidnapping?
gun on someone, I guess technically that could be called kidnapping because
No.
you're not allowing them to leave.
Are you not?
No, seriously.
Seriously, that's
And I know
considered
this.
kidnapping?
I know when police arrest someone and something like this, they charge them with everything possible under the sun, so that when they start eliminating things, that they still have a good handful of stuff they can charge them with.
Kidnapping.
So every possible possibility. And here's one. If you need a Halloween costume for a fat girl, they might have them at Walmart.
My gosh. What? Do they have a marketing person at Walmart? I'm just saying.
Walmart offended legions of shoppers days before Halloween when a section of Walmart's site devoted to the holiday was discovered to be labeled Fat Girl Costumes.
Nice.
Upon
Nice.
inspection, it appeared that all of the plus-size adult costumes for women had been aggregated to that category.
Really?
With more than 20 pages of festive garb, from gothic vampires to Olympic goddesses, falling under the description costumes for fat girls. Not sure labeling these as fat girl costumes is the best approach.
You think?
Kristen Washburn tweeted at the company when she discovered the label on October 21st. Of course, Walmart Twitter account replied within the hour, but it was unclear whether the initial response was automated or not. Really? You think so?
Well,
Your comments and suggestions are important to us and help make Walmart even better. Thank you. The account wrote.
I am sorry. Maybe you should get a marketing person. Maybe you should get someone with common sense.
Nope.
Maybe someone who would sit there and say, fat girl costumes. Fat girl costumes? Are you kidding me?
But it's okay to take selfies with grizzly bears.
It's not okay, apparently. Maybe the Walmart marketing person should do that.
We'll be right back. 736-0300 is always the number to call. Don't forget to get a hold of Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company. He can fix it up so you can see a Lowen honey loader in operation, which loads all types of manure, anywhere from liquid to frozen and dry. And with all the feedlots and dairies around here, there are many that have sold. And if you are considering one for your feedlot or dairy, you can go there and watch it operate. Just get a hold of Pat. He can make sure that happens. And if you decide, I would like to put my hard-earned money down for one of those Lowen honey loaders, he can help you there, too. 280-1167 is his personal cell phone number. 280-1167 to get a hold of Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company. We have Tana Barton with us this morning, who's the Executive Director of CASA. Good morning, Tana.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us what CASA is.
CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. We judges appoint our program to represent the best interest of abused children in the Magic Valley.
All right, and to do this takes a little bit of money, and you have a fundraising event coming up.
We do. We have the Fall Fashion Festival coming up on November 8th. We have several of our area merchants. We have Bohm, Chico's, Crazy 8, Vickers Western Wear, and the Brass Monkey will all be there showcasing their clothes. And our most exciting part of that show is that we have Bryce Black from Project Runway Season 9. He's a local boy, grew up here in Twin Falls, graduated from Twin Falls High School.
Kelly's a huge fan.
Oh, he is.
You watch Project Runway
So
all the way.
fun.
No,
Yes.
I don't think either of us watch it, do we? I don't know
Sorry.
who that is. I'm sorry. But
It
he
is
sounds
very- it is
sounds
quite popular,
fabulous.
though.
Yeah, I
If
know.
you see him, you will remember him, and he's bringing his most recent line to us. He's a
cool.
fashion designer, lives in the Portland area, and he'll be here with his designs this year.
Okay, is this the first time you've had this, or is this
No,
an
we
annual
do this
event?
annual. We do about four fashion or 4 fundraisers every year. This is one of our major ones that we do. This is probably our 14th, 15th year of doing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, third year though that we've had Bryce Black back. So
Well,
it's
very cool.
really kicked us up a notch.
And this
Okay,
one is
great.
coming up Saturday the 8th.
Saturday, November 8th at the Canyon Crest Event Center. Doors open at 6 o'clock.
And how much are tickets, and should they buy them in advance?
I really would encourage buying them in advance. Yes, $30 are for their general, and $60 is VIP if you want to be up close and front and center. $60.
So it's a fashion show. What else is going on that night?
We'll have a silent auction. Some great items have been donated for that, and we also have vendors around, so there'll be some shopping. You cannot go out a ladies' night without a little bit of shopping, so we will have shopping available as well.
Okay.
Oh, very cool.
So 6 to 7 are cocktails and appetizers,
Yes.
right? Shopping and silent auction. What other items do you have for the silent auction?
Let's see. The ones that are really standing out to me is we have a Fitbit, which I'm always for those that need to do the winter exercise. We have several household items. We have a couple of trips. We have really good items this year.
Kind of a mixture of everything. Huh?
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit about CASA and the work that it does. I don't think a lot of people realize that you actually have volunteers who represent kids in court. What are some of those situations that you represent them?
You know, if a child has been removed from their home due to abuse or neglect, typically law enforcement will declare them in imminent danger. It is at that point that the judge appoints our program. We go out and we independently investigate the case aside from the Department of Health and Welfare, and we compile that information that we've gathered and report it back to the judge. So when he's on the bench and he's making a decision as to what needs to happen in this kiddo's life, he has a different view. So he has our report along with the Department of Health and Welfare, and he's able to make a more sound decision for those kiddos.
Are you kept busy doing that?
We are. Unfortunately, right now we represent about 284 children.
Oh, my.
Wow.
In 2013, last year, we had 515 children that we represented in the Magic Valley, the 8 counties of this district.
And what
Right.
happens to those kids? I mean, after they're represented, and the result is they have to leave their home. Where do they go? Foster care?
They go to foster care. There's facilities that they sometimes go to, and sometimes they're able to stay in their home. You know, who loves you more than your parent? And so the
Wow.
best case scenario for us and the best outcome would be that the parents get the help that they need and they get the services needed so that these children can go back to home. And our program stays there until permanency has been achieved. And so we are there until an adoption has been done. As a matter of fact, we have one going on this morning we're super excited about. And permanency is what we look for, whether that's at home, adoption, or possibly with a relative.
Are you looking for volunteers?
Yes.
Okay, so give out your number in case someone is interested, because
Yes.
we're running out of time.
735-1177. If you're interested in volunteering, we have people that are retired, homemakers, teachers. You know, if you have an interest in children and you have the time to attend training and spend about 10 or 15 hours a month working for these children, we need you.
Okay,
We're
great.
short.
What's that number again?
735-1177, right?
Yes,
All right.
735-1177.
Tana Barton, Executive Director of CASA. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Tana.
it.
Thanks for
Good
having
luck
me.
with
I
the event
enjoy
on
it.
November 8th.
Thank you.
We'll talk to Catherine Talkington next, who's the Democratic candidate for State Representative, District 24B, right here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And with us this morning, we have Catherine Talkington, who is the Democratic candidate for State Representative District 24B. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning.
Good morning, you two. How are you?
We're great.
We're doing swell. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, too. This is a beautiful day.
How's the campaign coming along?
You know, Kelly, the campaign is coming along just like we hoped. It's just going forward. There's good momentum, extreme enthusiasm. We're doing what we need to do.
So for people who aren't familiar with you, Catherine, do you want to give us a little bit of background, and why did you decide to run in a campaign?
Sure, Jill. Well, I decided maybe 5 years ago that it was time for me to get off kind of center and to do something a little bit risky that, excuse me, that would give back to the community. And I couldn't figure out what to do. And then I decided education. Oh my goodness, education is forefront. What can I do to speak up? I can run for the legislature.
And you are a former teacher.
I'm a retired teacher with 40 years in public education.
Was that in
Classroom teacher.
Idaho?
In Idaho, yes. Twin Falls. Most of my career has been in Twin Falls High School, and then Magic Valley High School, Magic Valley Alternative.
So you're a Magic Valley kid, you might say.
I was born and raised here.
Yeah.
So you're taking on a pretty big powerhouse in Steve Hardigan, who we will have on Friday, I believe. Correct, Jill?
I'll check.
Yeah, I think he is on Friday.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Well, I'll tell you, Kelly, I knew from the beginning it was going to be a challenge. And I knew from the beginning we had to do it people to people, vote to vote. And so that's why we've been out in the neighborhoods. I've been in every single neighborhood. We've made contact with 8,700 people.
Door to door, right?
Door
Wow.
to door. We have walked the length of Idaho with me, with volunteers. We have covered it. We have talked to people every single day. In fact, when I leave here, you know what I'm doing. I'm out in the neighborhood. We are not standing still.
What is your biggest concern? I know you said education was the reason that you decided to run. What is your biggest concern about education, and how do you feel your opponent's been handling it?
Right, Jill. The defunding of education is disingenuous to our kids, to our teachers, to our schools, our communities, our parents. Education must be cornerstone to our society, and to defund it as dramatically as it has been does not provide well for our future and our prosperity. I mean, quite frankly, take a look at some of the figures. Okay, in Magic Valley alone, how many kids really go on to college? What is our workforce saying about what we need for job training and education? How can we attract new businesses? It's all through education. Education, education, education.
Right.
To be fair, though, they put what, 11, I forget where we're at now, but they are putting money back in for education since it was cut for the recession.
Yeah, you're right, Kelly. And $35 million in a $1.6 billion. I mean, that's not a lot.
At $1.6 billion budget.
Budget for education.
Right.
Exactly right.
So what do you say? Because we actually heard from Wiley Dobbs on the show that they're having a hard time retaining teachers, that teachers are going to other states for higher income. What do you think you could do if you went to the legislature?
Well, for one, I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. Teachers have been, what is the word I want to use? Teachers have been disrespected in our legislature. The comments made of, maybe they don't want to be held accountable. That's one comment my opponent has made. No, absolutely wrong and wrong. Teachers are accountable. They want the best for the kids. They want the best for the communities. And so, Jill, your comment about Wiley Dobbs, absolutely. I've attended several meetings with Wiley Dobbs, and hearing that getting qualified teachers in the classrooms isn't happening. It is not happening. They're leaving.
Right.
There are some classrooms. Oh, for instance, let's talk about the classroom size. Third graders with 35 kids in a classroom. Third grade is the critical year. You talk about that little 8-year-old neighbor of yours that's having a tough time, could use a little bit more attention. How can one teacher do that in a class of 35?
That's right, because if they don't read by the grade 3, we understand, then they have lost it. They actually determine prison populations by third grade.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And by third grade, then if a student is not up to skills, then we're talking remedial action all the way then through. And you're right about the prison population.
So what do you propose to fix this?
What do I propose to fix it? Okay, Kelly. Yes, we need to raise the salaries. We need to absolutely raise the salaries. We need to give the teachers the empowerment. We need to give our local communities the voice on what they want and what they want to do, how they suggest funding education. Okay? Stabilization of education funds, equalization of education. We're tying education to consumer index. And we know when economics go bad, consumer spending goes down. Let's stabilize our educational funding, make the education funding stable so that there's predictability.
Catherine, what other issues are you looking towards that maybe you haven't been so happy with your opponent's voting record on things?
Right, and that's the public lands. But Jill, I want to go back and talk just for a moment here, because door to door, I am hearing, number one, I'm hearing education has to be important. I'm hearing this across all demographics of Twin Falls. Number two, I'm hearing public lands. Keep the federal lands for our access. That's hands down.
Well, there's some confusion because, I keep hearing, take our lands back, take our lands back. But my understanding is the reason we're a state of Idaho is it was for exchange for the land to the federal government. Is this possible to take our lands back?
According to our Constitution, we gave up those rights when we became a state, and we gave them up forever. And that's our own Attorney General's opinion. And so, quite frankly, what we're doing is we're spending money we could be investing in education, trying to find something that there is no win for.
Okay.
We have a caller. Top story. You're on the air with Catherine Talkington. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks. Hey, just a quick question. Well, my wife's a teacher, and I agree teachers are underpaid, should be paid more. I agree with your point there, but what are you going to do to decrease the size of classrooms? How are you going to resolve that?
Oh, exactly right. Well, it means more teachers, doesn't it? It means that we give our teachers help. It means that perhaps we hire more paraeducators to help the teachers in the classrooms. It's going to require an investment, no doubt about it, and it's going to be tough.
There's no doubt that the Idaho legislature is dominated by one party, the Republican Party. How do you feel you could work with a domination like that, being a Democrat?
Absolutely. And Kelly, that's a good question. I'm a teacher. I know how to get along with everyone. And if you want an experience in a classroom, you better believe that you have to cross all borders. You have to cross over into everything, and you learn to communicate well because your mission is what is important.
There's a lot of talk, and we've talked about it for quite some time, some of the issues that the legislature has dealt with to get more money for the state. One of those is a taxation on internet sales. Mm-hmm. How do you stand? And a lot of people see that as just more taxes. How do you stand on that?
It sounds like a fair tax.
Mm-hmm. I think there was a figure thrown around? I've heard between $35 to $60 million that we could have in our state if we charge that, and other states do that. Would you try to fight for that?
It sounds like a fair tax. I stand on that.
Okay, great.
There's also talk about the infrastructure of the roads and the bridges in the state. We've been fighting over that, and we're how many millions of dollars behind? $250, $300 million or something behind in maintenance for the roadways. How would you fix that?
Well, it sounds like a user tax needs to be investigated. It sounds like we need to take a look, because we've neglected this for years. It sounds like we need to take a look at how the user tax could be implemented in a fair way.
User tax meaning like toll roads or?
Well, maybe gas tax, increasing the gas tax. I think there's a good conversation that could happen about what the alternatives are to this, what the options are. I don't have all the answers, Kelly. I think that's where we come out with a conversation. Let's get together. Let's discuss. Let's come up with the best ideas.
What are other things that you're hearing out there, Catherine, besides public lands, education? Are people concerned about other things?
Jill, what they're concerned about is they are wanting not to be locked into political ideology. I am talking to Republicans. I'm talking to independents. I'm talking to Democrats all across the board. There has been support for independent thinking. In fact, my 101 individual contributions come from Republicans, independents, and Democrats.
Okay. So people are tired of ideology. They want they want compromise. They want people to work together.
Absolutely, they want people to work together.
Okay, great.
Do you consider yourself, and the reason I ask this question is because a lot of people in Idaho consider Democrats out east as just the most liberal thing that they'll ever find. And I know a lot of Idaho Democrats kind of try to separate themselves from the eastern liberals. Do you do that? Are you kind
like
of
me, Kelly?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Now,
like
Jill
me?
is a perfect example of an eastern bleeding heart liberal.
A liberal from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Could it be better?
Are you as liberal as Jill?
I'm a Democrat from Idaho, Kelly.
They're a lot different. I know. That's for sure. What do you see as your biggest challenge if you are elected into the legislature?
Good question, Jill. Since I've not been there, I don't know what some of the challenges are going to be, but I know my biggest challenge will be to study hard and be very informed on what the issues are. And I can do that. So I don't look at that there are biggest challenges out there. I can communicate with people.
Okay. That's great. Some people are criticizing, and I'm one of them, Governor Otter for pursuing, they went to court, federal court, pursuing same-sex marriage and now wants to take it to a larger court. How would you feel about that? Do you think it's the best use of taxpayer funds?
Absolutely not. Basic line here. Why would we want to discriminate against anyone?
Would you be for adding the words to the Idaho Human Rights Act if you are elected? There are 4 words to add sexual discrimination and gender identity, so people cannot be fired in the state of Idaho for being gay, which currently happens right now. Would you be for pursuing that? Because I know it hasn't even come before a committee.
Right. And again, why would we want to discriminate against anyone? And let me tell you something. I go back far enough that as a woman, I faced discrimination. As a young woman coming out of college, going into teaching, I can't tell you the inappropriate questions I was asked and why I was turned down for jobs. For instance, I was single. Oh, well, you're going to get married, and then we invested all this time in you. So I have been the subject of discrimination. No. Okay. Discrimination is not right.
Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Well, I was going to say, before we run out of time here, a few words on a general statement as to why folks should vote for you on November 4th, if they haven't already voted.
Right. And by the way, early voting is taking off.
Yes, it is.
I'm Catherine Talkington. I'm running for the Idaho legislature because I think that we can do better for Idaho's future. And that includes education, fighting for education for our kids, and pushing for better paying jobs and keeping our public lands open. So thank you for your vote.
And speaking on early voting, yes, it is open now. It'll be open until 5 o'clock Friday at County West, which is the previous hospital. I remember the old hospital is the one before that, so I have to call it
and
the
both
previous
Kelly and I
hospital.
have voted, so everyone needs to get out there and vote. Catherine, best of luck, and you're going to continue to knock on doors?
Absolutely. That's where I'm going right now.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Catherine Talkington, a Democratic candidate for State Representative District 24B, and we'll be right back with Chris Talkington with the State of the City right here on Top Story. Good morning and welcome back to Top Story, 7360300, always the number. Welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Kelly. Same to you.
38 degrees right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, this weekend is the fallback time.
Yes, I've been wondering when it was happening.
Yeah, it's this Sunday morning at 2 o'clock. So
Yeah.
what you have to do, the only proper way to do that is to set your clock's alarm for 2 a.m. and then wake up and set it back an hour and then go back
Is
to
that
sleep.
real? Is that right? Is that how that
Yeah, that's the only
done?
way you can do
It's
that
the only
properly.
way.
Otherwise, it won't work.
No, I love this day. You get one extra day, one extra hour in the day.
Yeah, but
I
they
love
take
that.
it away from us like 3 months later.
So
In
what?
March, we go
Can't
back.
I enjoy it?
I
For the one day you get 25 hours a day. Come on. Anyway.
You only get 25 hours in one day, Jill.
I know.
It's a 49-hour
I know.
weekend.
I love it.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it.
And in March, it'll be a 47-hour.
Stop arguing about it. I just enjoy the day. We have a guest. Be nice.
We do. We have Twin Falls City Councilman Chris Talkington with us this morning on State of the City. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
Well, good morning, co-host. Could I tell you a very short story about daylight savings time?
Sure.
Go ahead.
When it was first begun, whenever that was, they were trying to explain the ramifications to some people on Indian reservations somewhere in the country. And after the people left, the Indian residents were scratching their head trying to understand what it meant. And one of them says, well, the best I can figure is, and he held up his blanket, you cut a few inches off the bottom and sew it on the top.
Yeah, I've heard.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good story, too, and it makes that kind of sense. Well, what's going on in the city? I know we're working on bicycle routes.
We are. We have kind of the first phase of that going now, where we mark kind of, if you will, the major paths, primarily north and south with striping. It's already been in our budget, so that will be underway. Oh, depending on the weather, it may be next spring when they get that on. I don't know if they're actually putting them down now. We're looking to expand the bikes much more throughout the city around major routes between schools and parks. The Twin Falls is really in the transition stage now where people actually year-round use their bike.
Yeah.
A few people anyway, but a lot more people
Few hardy
recreate.
souls.
Chris Anderson.
Yeah,
But we're not
exactly. He's a
mentioning
good
anything.
example.
Yeah, he's out there
Well,
all
I
the
think
time.
Dave Nelson
Yeah.
downtown does
Okay,
as
there's
well.
two. Okay.
But bikes are a viable, safe, clean form of transportation, and we want to make Twin Falls as safe for them as possible without inconveniencing people who have limited place to park their cars.
That is a question. I saw that after the article, a comment on there. Is it going to affect parking at all?
Well, that's why in the downtown section, the older section, very limited parking. So you can't take parking off the street for a bike route. That's why you don't put your bike routes in the most congested older areas that have narrow streets.
So none of them are on the narrow streets?
No, I can't say none
Okay.
of them. You'll have to look at the map. I mean, it's a phased prospect, and we're in phase one, and I think most of the striping will go in the wider streets that don't have an off-street parking concern.
Yeah, because a lot of houses in town, the only place to park is on the street.
Right.
So if they
Absolutely.
eliminated that, then there'd be an issue.
Yeah.
Because it's my understanding that if there is a bike path in front of your house, you can't park your car there.
Depends. There are some places where there's a parking area on the curbside of an out in the street park or bicycle route area. It's perplexing. If you started from scratch and built Twin Falls, it would be perfect. But you're
Sure.
trying to accommodate with our as-built system, where you maximize bikes' availability to get around the town without losing parking. It's almost a block by block issue.
Yeah, back when the town was first built in the early 1900s, people were trying to get away from bicycles and
Absolutely.
cars. So now we kind of have an opposite reaction.
And that brings up a question, because I know Cliff Bar has talked about, the incentive to buy their employees bikes, and I live out in that area. Those roads are quite small. They don't even have a median, a side really anywhere. Are they doing bike lanes there, or people are just going to drive on the street and take their chances with the trucks?
It's always a case of you take your chance in an area or a community that vehicles are looked at as a primary transportation means. A lot more education, a lot more acceptance and give and take on both sides. And bikers need to obey traffic laws. There's no doubt about it. I was amazed to learn that it's possible for you to go up to an intersection on a bike and under certain circumstances not stop.
Right.
Yeah.
We've
So
heard
I'm
that.
being educated as well. Well, listen, the big story in Twin Falls right now is the study underway right now to relocate City Hall.
Yes. How's
Yes,
that
I'm on
coming?
that
I know.
committee. It starts
Well,
on
there have been
Monday.
a few tours where the public have walked through our city resources and seen the unsafety of the police station, the overcrowdedness of several other areas where it's not all on the main floor. We have several ideas of where a relocation to City Hall might be, but it's kind of driven by the public. The Banner Building, we've done an engineering study on, and that is one location. We've learned from other communities, though, guys, that if you take the city services, City Hall, out of the downtown area, it will gut it. Pocatello's a case that we do not want to make that mistake. Other places that we've looked at have been the old Twin Falls Clinic, Magic Valley Bank, a few other locations, but this is really driven by an education process of building cost, new versus old construction, what we'll do to traffic. We have a Twin Falls area that has added 23 new jobs, 23 new businesses in the last year and a half downtown. So there's life in the old town, and we want to do our part to remain downtown.
How do you address the concerns of people when this first came up in the news and we had callers saying, is it really driven by the public when the city's put $30,000 into the building right now and has a contract on the building, on the Banner Building? How can you say it's driven when a lot of people think the decision's already been made?
It hasn't been made because if you talk about the total construction cost of being about 60% of new construction, starting from bare ground, it's a much more efficient building. We didn't want to even have this discussion go on if we didn't know the Banner Building was structurally integral to doing major modification. We're ready to walk away from that investment, and there are other people that want to have that Banner Building if we don't want to.
How much money would they lose? Because I understand there is a contract for $460,000, Suzanne said last week?
No, the city's risk is the money we put in it for the engineering study.
Wait, but
30,000
so there's not
or something like
No,
that.
I know, but there's no contract on that. Are you saying there's no contract on that building right now? Suzanne told us that there was a contract for $460,000.
No,
I think she just said that was the price for it.
No.
The contract is for the way I understand it. You put $30,000 into it to hold it and to do an engineering study.
And
that's the way I understand
it. That has been accomplished. You bet. And I think we have till mid-February to make a decision. We can walk away if that's not the best location.
And what will the taxpayers lose if you walk away?
The amount we've invested for an engineering study is roughly $30,000. I'm not sure more or less, but no, not $400,000. No.
No, I'm meaning that there was a contract for $400,000, so you would lose the earnest money on that contract. That's not true?
We are at risk for the amount we put in for the engineering study.
Okay.
And for the earnest money, and it is somewhere around that amount that we talked about, the lower amount, 30 or 40,000. Don't hold me to the dollars and cents, but there's no way the council, as fiscally conservative as we are, would put that kind of money down unless we knew we were going there.
Now, you had some tours of showing people some of these. How did those turn out?
Well, you want more people than show up always at these things, but we want their questions to drive our discussions. And I think they were held over 2.5 or 3 days, moderately successful, but they are giving us some questions like, are you sure we have the parking availability to handle the public coming in? Where will the employees park? What about going up on the second floor? Will we have handicap access? Do you have more room there than you really need? All sorts of questions being asked on that.
Yeah.
And that was on the Banner Building, I assume? Yeah. Okay.
So is there any kind of a timeline that we're looking at here, or are you just kind of...
I think by the late part of December, we want to have the public input of this put together, and then the council go back and kind of reevaluate, okay, are we on track or not? Do we need to do more online polling? What are the expectations of the public, really?
So
it's also driven by cost. New construction is just unaffordable.
But so the meetings starts Monday, 11:30 to 1:30, I believe, for the committee for the city council.
Well, they were run over this
City
weekend.
Hall.
I'm not sure that they're being run again or not. Maybe
No. If you want to be on the citizens committee to help pick City Hall, it's Monday from 11:30 to 1:30. Yeah. If you want to be on the committee, I'm going to be on the committee.
We have a caller. Top story. You're on the air with Chris Talkington. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Kelly? And I hate
Doing
to
well.
see you go, but glad for your retirement. Out of curiosity, I was wondering, Mr. Talking, if you could answer the question of, it sounds like the banner buildings where y'all are really wanting to go, but why are we really not going for the clinic where it was offered to us by the county, and it seemed like that was a better deal financially for us? And I'll take the answer off the air. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't understand.
He's kind of wondering why we didn't opt. It sounds like that the city is kind of pushing for the banner building, he said, and he was kind of wondering why they didn't take the clinic building when it was offered by the county.
Well, it's also driven by the consideration of how much space we need. We are at the bottom of the state of the major cities for the employees per thousand of population. We only have so much growth we anticipate, even in this growth period of our city. And we will have growth in a banner building size structure. The Twin Falls Clinic, the old clinic, I think has 4 times more space than we would envision growing into, going out even 30 or more years. And it's very possible that we can get cheaper construction costs in a building like Banner and some others. So I don't know of the specifics, but I knew the space is driving a lot of that.
Well, I know we had Travis Rothweiler on here a couple of weeks ago, and we asked him that same question. And I guess the understanding is that the county offered it to the city for $1 or something like that, but Travis said that was not the case. They said there was a lot more involved in that. So
don't know the particulars on that.
Yeah. So
We have
are the police? What's that? I'm sorry.
The comprehensive plan. Is that you're looking for committee on that as well?
Absolutely. That's hasn't been. I think that's now about 7-8 years old, and a lot's happened in Twin Falls since those times. We need to accommodate for new traffic patterns, what's going to happen downtown area, what kind of growth pushing out from the city we should encourage. Yeah, comp plan is a long-term planning document, and so that's kind of a way for people to attack our city's issues personally, again, by being involved.
We're kind of at a critical point here, aren't we, with the city reaching that 50,000 point?
Yeah, public transportation. We're in a high growth period right now, but I've been around enough times to know that will cool off, and we may be in a flat time again. In my business environment, I've been here where it's more flat than growing. But growth is a difficult issue to have pay for itself in municipal government.
Chris Talkington, Twin Falls City Council, thank you, sir. We'll see you next time.
Chris.
Always a pleasure.
And this is Top Story. We have Don Hudson, who's a state representative candidate. He'll be in next. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. And yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Richard Dudley.
Richard Dudley, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is 13.
13. That is such a scary number.
THIRTEEN.
13.
If you just go in and put in 13, it isn't going to work. It's got to be THIRTEEN. So go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on Word of the Day, type in 13, listen tomorrow, and if you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, you win $100 just like that.
That's how easy that is.
I know. We have Don Hudson with us this morning, and Don, I know I got my information here somewhere, is running for Republic. He's a Republican candidate for state representative for Legislative District 24B. Good morning, Don.
Good morning.
Oh, that's 26B. Sorry.
I'm sorry, you're right. I had 26B, and I read it wrong.
We're having
Talkington,
trouble with
who
that.
was there earlier, was in 24B.
Okay.
So good catch.
Yeah. Well, it's always important to know your district number.
That's right, it is. Now, you're up in the Blaine County area.
That's correct.
All
Blaine, Camas, Gooding, and Lincoln.
So that's a pretty good size area.
4 counties, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
What's your background?
Mechanical engineering is my background. I worked for AT&T most of my adult life, and my specialty was energy management engineering and environmental engineering.
Oh, okay. Now, I saw where you have a patent or two.
Well, since I worked for AT&T, I didn't get the patent.
Exactly.
AT&T gets the
you're the
patents.
employee.
Yeah. It's a little thing called intellectual property agreements they make you sign. So, yeah, I did. I invented a process called photoelectrolytic etching.
Okay, for printed circuits.
For printed circuits,
Yeah.
exactly. That was a way to make microchips smaller.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
But
great.
it was a real turnaround, and it was a really exciting thing to be involved in.
I'll bet it was.
We ended up building factories, made thousands of jobs because of that, and changed the way we made microchips forever. And nobody knows I did it.
Well,
Oh,
I know.
well, they
That's
do
what
now.
happens with work product. But so, Donna, I was going to ask you, why did you decide to run for office?
Well, I've been in public service all my life. When I was in high school, I was a volunteer firefighter, and I joined the rescue squad, and I've been in public service in one way or another all my life. And I thought I was going to retire, come home, play with my toys, visit the grandkids.
Right.
And, well, the need arose. We saw the need, and some people talked to me and said, maybe you ought to consider this. We need to make a change here. So I considered it and decided, yes, I can make a difference. And it needs to be done.
What was your biggest concern when they say a need arose? You're running against Donna Pence, correct?
Donna Pence,
So what is
that's
your
correct.
biggest concern that's kind of put you on this path?
Well, Donna Pence is a wonderful lady. I can't say a thing bad about her because she's a wonderful lady. She was a school teacher for many, many years, and she's been in the legislature for 10 years. She's very well thought of in her community, but she has a different toolbox than I do. My experience is in big business with AT&T, mechanical engineering. I have lots of public service experience, and I have different tools in my toolbox than she does. And these are the tools that we're going to need going forward. We have a lot of important things that Idaho has to face in the very near future. And I think my toolbox has better tools.
What are some of those that you see that we're facing, and how would you handle them?
Well, there are a number of them. You've talked about some of them this morning. The biggest one is economic development. Now, under economic development, you're going to talk about education and you're going to talk about infrastructure improvements because they are all the things that support economic development. A lot of people focus only on education, and that's kind of a mistake because it's you end up asking education for what? For preparation for college, for technical education, for are you going to be a welder, for trade education, all of those things you think about. But education has got to be a factor in economic development because if you're going to attract businesses and business activity, you have to have a population that's going to supply the workers that you need. And by workers, I mean everybody from management down to the lowest paid job that they have, the delivery boy or the mailroom guy.
And
those
also, if
people
you're
have to be trained.
Well, it's true, and a two-pronged thing, I believe. Like when you have economic development, you would move to a place that has good schools. And
Exactly.
and that's an issue that we're facing, but we're also facing an uneducated workforce. We've heard that complaint a lot, that they aren't ready for these jobs. How would you address that?
That's talking with businesses. You have to talk with the educators. You have to talk with the businesses and make sure that they agree that the educational curriculums are going to prepare the students for, number one, living in our American society, and number two, being able to get a good job. And the good job is going to be defined by the employers, and they're going to define what skills the people need to have. If they want somebody that's a legal assistant, they're going to want somebody that has a good liberal arts
Hold that thought,
education.
Don. We're going to
Sure.
go to a break right now. Don Hudson is with us, and we'll be right back here on Top Story. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. We have a Republican candidate for state representative for Legislative District 26B. Don Hudson is with us. And I got a couple more questions, but we also have a caller. So
Okay,
let's take the
great.
caller. Top Story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Pasio, and I was just calling to tell you that I have canceled the paper because they are backing, what? Oh, Beluga. My husband says AJ. Belukoff. So anyway, I just wanted you to know I feel like that they should have just stayed out of it instead of taking sides. We came from California, where we left because taxes are bad and it's very oppressive. So we came here, and I hate to see that happen to the state.
All right.
Okay, well,
when she
thank
first
you.
called,
I
I thought she had a
question.
complaint. I thought she had a complaint with the paper. Well, I guess she did. But hey, thanks for the
Well,
call.
you
Do
know
appreciate
what?
that.
Papers
okay.
do
well,
endorsements.
Live
so
radio,
anyway.
you get all kinds of comments,
Yeah,
and they don't like the Times News now because they back Belukoff. So now that kind of leads me, fortunately, into the question. You're kind of new to the state. You wouldn't really be considered as part of the Republican establishment, as it is known in the state. How do you think you could work with the Republican establishment in the Idaho legislature? You are a Republican running on the Republican ticket.
That's correct. I was born and raised in Virginia, and the wife and I raised 6 kids there, and it seems like all of them moved west, when they graduated from school. So, and that didn't bother us too much until they started having grandchildren.
Right.
Sure.
So
I can
now
relate.
now we want to be with the grandkids. So we moved west 12, 13 years ago, and we found this place in Shoshone 3 years ago. And what I can tell you about being Republican is that public service is pretty much the same in Virginia as it is in Idaho. And when I got to Idaho, it was a very simple matter for me to be involved. I got to tell you, while we're talking about that subject, that when the wife and I arrived here in Shoshone, we decided to move ourselves because we were downsizing.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to make the decision what goes, what stays. And our neighbor-to-be said, well, I'll try to have a couple of people there to help unload. Well, we were late. We were like 10 o'clock at night getting there, and we were so exhausted. We've been on the road all day. There were 15 people waiting for us in our front yard.
How nice.
And they would not stop until everything was off the truck and everything in the house was where it should be. There were ladies there that helped Judy set up the kitchen and get all the
Oh, my
bedroom.
goodness.
It was just wonderful. We fell in love with them then. And ever since, everyone we've met in Idaho has been the same warm-hearted, genuine person that we met then. So it's very easy to fall in love with Idaho because of that. Now, for the past 3 years, I've served on the Planning and Zoning Board in Lincoln County. I'm the vice commander on the Search and Rescue unit in Lincoln County. I'm the state legislative liaison for the State Search and Rescue Association. I'm still in the Boy Scouts. I've been in the Boy Scouts for 50 years, and I'm still teaching Boy Scouts and going camping with them. So I've had the opportunity to meet and serve with all of these people, and they're all the same genuine, wonderful people that seem to be characteristic of Idaho. So we feel right at home.
Don,
no, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, so what do you think the biggest issues and concerns people have in your district?
Well, the biggest concern is always water for the people who are concerned with agriculture and business. Now, right after that, it's an economic issue, economic development, and that has 3 components. And the components are attracting businesses and big business activity, and education. Making sure that education is aligned not just with the academic community, but with the business community as well. And the third component is infrastructure improvement. Remember, I didn't say remediation, I said improvement.
Right.
Yeah, not only do we have to fix roads and bridges, we've got to do better. We've got to add some things. We've got to improve airports, and we've got to improve access to utilities. We've got to redesign our electric utilities so that we have community power centers instead of central power centers that could knock out half the state. Mm-hmm. If we regionalize our power centers, then we have a smaller risk of losing big or having big power outages. Those are. There are other components that folks are concerned about, but those are the ones that folks keep coming back to as the major issues.
So quickly, why should someone vote for you? We're running out of time. Why should someone vote for you? We're running out of time.
Because I'm going to represent you. You can call me anytime, day or night, and you know that I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to go to work for you. And I'm going to make sure that your concerns are heard and addressed in any way that I can.
All right.
Okay,
Dawn
well
Hudson is a
done.
Republican candidate for state representative for Legislative District 26B. We appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks,
for
Dawn.
inviting me. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. And this is Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. I know we've been having a lot of candidates in here, and we just had Dawn Hudson from District 26B. His opponent is
Donna
Pence, and we have extended an invitation to her. We haven't heard back yet, but we'll try to get her in if she does respond. We're kind of running out of time.
Run out of time, segment days, but you have to offer it to both.
Exactly. Just wanted to remind you, too, that Far More of Idaho has the infrared barren. And you're thinking, well, why are we talking about irrigation now? Because it's done for the year. Mm-hmm. Well, it's coming up again this next year, and you'll want to get signed up for this infrared barren. They do overflights of your field, and they take infrared photography of the crops. And by looking at that, the infrared photography, you can see things you really can't see with your naked eye, like the dry spots, the spots that are too wet, and such. And it really is an eye-opener, literally. And you can, based on this information, you can make changes and modifications to your irrigation system so that it evens things out. And when you do that, if you do have dry spots, your crops are going to suffer. If you have wet spots, your crops are going to suffer. So,
if you have spots.
Yeah, if you have spots. You can make changes in your irrigation system based on this information, and they can tell you how to do that at Far More of Idaho, how to get signed up for infrared barren. It doesn't cost. It pays. 324-3341 is the number to call. You can also get them online at farmoreofidaho.com.
Well, we had a supply ship blow up that's
We
supposed to
did.
go to the space station. But don't worry, they only have, 5,000 pounds of supplies? What?
Well, no, the question I have about that is now what happens to the astronauts on the space station?
Oh, yeah.
If they're sending up food and needed supplies, and the rocket that was going to send them up exploded at like 10 seconds after it took off. Did you see the
I did.
Did you see the video?
I did.
Wow, that was dramatic.
It was on the news. The cargo ship was carrying 5,000 pounds of experiments and equipment for NASA. So I'm sure that didn't cost much, as well as prepackaged meals, freeze-dried Maryland crab cakes for a Baltimore-born astronaut who's been in orbit for 5 months. He's probably salivating for the crab cakes.
And now look.
It's like to-go order. Can you please give me some crab cakes? Would you like fries with that? So all of the lost materials will be replaced and flown to the 260-mile-high space station, they said. I don't know. They said currently the astronauts have enough supplies to last until spring. Let's hope so. I'm like, my gosh.
I wonder how long it'll take for them to get another supply ship ready to go. Interesting.
And if you're up there and you hear about it, or do they tell them? Oh no. He's like, where are my crab cakes? Oh, they're on their way.
Yeah, they're on their way. They're in the mail. They're in the mail. They'll be there soon.
Don't watch. Nothing's going on here. Just look outside.
7360300. Top story. You're in the air.
You're on the air.
On the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you two today?
We're doing
great.
okay.
How are you?
Great. Fine, thank you. Great shows this week.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Here's your NASA report. A automated Soyuz spacecraft did dock with the STS this morning, and they received another 5,000 pounds of stores and experiments and all that. So even though we're kind of rough with Putin, evidently the space agency is as normal.
Yeah,
But
well, that's kind of good to know.
Did they have freeze-dried crab cakes on there?
Well, I think it was
borscht?
more like beluga,
borscht.
caviar.
I know, huh?
Russian vodka.
Vodka.
Nothing but the best.
Yeah, they're going to need vodka when he finds out his crab cakes aren't coming.
No kidding, boy.
Long time ago, that was that comedian, and he'd always say his name was Jose Jimenez.
Jose Jimenez, yes.
Jimenez.
My name, Jose Jimenez.
Yeah.
And they asked him, he was doing a skit, I think it was with Johnny Carson, and they says, Well, how do you take being blasted off? He says, I get blasted before I blast off.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. And
Well, thanks for that update. That's kind of good to know.
We have the best callers in the world. They
Yeah.
always call us with the needed information.
I
but
know.
oh my gosh, you're thinking, okay, do they have enough water? Do they have enough food? Do they have to cut down? Are they licking the walls because condensation is forming? I'll be fine. No, really, I'll be fine. Oy.
Yeah, that's well. I'm sure they realize when they go up that there is a risk involved, and if something happens on Earth that we can't get supplies to you, look at it this way: what a way to go!
Oh my goodness! They said the Orbital Sciences executive vice president Frank Culbertson said the company carried insurance on the mission. That was nice, which he valued at more than $200 million, not counting repair costs.
Wonder what the premium on that policy was.
Boy, the explosion hit Orbital Sciences stock.
More importantly, I wonder what it will be.
Yeah, well, the stock just fell more than 15%
Yes.
in after-hours trading. Do you blame them? Like, wow, that's a huge hit. So anyway,
They had a pretty good track record. They have sent several. I know I read in this article somewhere how many they have sent up there that have been fine, but this one, something happened. If you get a chance to watch that video,
it's like the
quite
Hindenburg.
dramatic.
Didn't those things have good? They had a good track record until the Hindenburg.
That's right.
Or until the Titanic. You always have a good track record.
Titanic had a great track record until that fatal day in 1912.
Darn iceberg.
It's time now for the Huckabee Report, brought to you by Waddell & Reed. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, 736-6563. What's so funny?
Oh, no, I'll tell you at the break. Nothing. Go on. I'm sorry.
You sure now?
No, yes.
Well, because I wanted to tell the folks that this
I know.
We're coming up on Halloween.
We are.
So that's where the
Friday.
chainsaws come in.
Exactly.
And if you need a chainsaw for Halloween, an Echo chainsaw,
Mhm.
the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment can help you out.
Oh, my
Maybe you're
gosh.
going to put up a really, really extraordinary display of Halloween, and you wanted the chainsaws and everything.
That's
in
right.
there. You can do that. Or if you just want to go out and get some winter firewood, a new Echo
Yeah.
chainsaw would be great from Clearwater Power Equipment. Also, leaf blowers.
Oh, those
and now
are
that
good.
we've had our first frost, the leaves will be falling en masse. And don't use an old-fashioned rake anymore. Use a leaf blower, an Echo leaf blower from Clearwater Power Equipment.
Yeah, the leaves falling in mass out here. I mean, you have some areas that have some trees, but, when you talk about trees out east, there are huge, so
True.
many trees.
But a lot of people have trees in their yards.
I know,
So,
I know.
Rather
I'm
than
just
going out there
saying.
with an old-fashioned rake.
No, I definitely think a leaf blower, no doubt. But when you're saying falling in mass, I kind of have to laugh.
Yeah, well,
the trees that we have.
Now, if you're lucky and live in the country like I do and the wind comes up, it just blows them out
Yes.
onto the fields.
To the next.
But I still have a leaf blower.
Yes, you do.
I do, and you can use it. I do use it to clean out my wood shop.
We don't
It
have.
works wonders.
I think we have just a couple of fruit trees in the back, and
Now,
that's
you don't
it.
have many trees.
No,
yeah.
I don't.
Well,
but
if
you
you're-
can come blow mine anyway.
Chainsaws, leaf blowers from Echo Clearwater Power Equipment. They're the ones. 252 Washington Street, 734-7767. Still looking for a place to store your big lawnmower? Give them a call.
This
they can
I
do
think
that
is
for the
an
winter.
amazing benefit.
Yeah, that would be great. That
Yeah.
would be great.
You're like in a few other things. Could you store some other stuff
Yeah.
for me, please?
No kidding. I got this big old freezer down in
Yeah,
my basement.
yeah, it's not
my
a problem.
My grandpa had it.
No.
Yes, it's from I'm sure it was built in the 50s or 60s.
Why do you still have it?
Well, because it weighs 1 million tons and it's too hard to get out of the basement.
Okay.
That's why.
There
so
you
I use
go.
it for a workbench.
What, you have it on its side?
No, it's a chest type. It's a chest
Oh,
type freezer.
I'm like, wow, that's a tall workbench,
yeah,
Cal.
and so, man, I'll tell you, it's. I'm just leaving it there.
I think you should just create freezer workbenches out of your old freezers.
That's not a bad idea,
No.
actually, and I can use the inside to
Repurposing.
store stuff.
You
know.
could.
Yeah, hide stuff.
I'm
hide
sure
all my
you have a
jewelry.
lot of stuff.
Hide all my jewelry.
You're a hoarder.
Oh, yes. Hey, thanks for joining us
Oh,
today. Don't forget
tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
We have very interesting tomorrow. My niece-in-law from Sierra Leone will be on at 9 o'clock to talk about Ebola. We have the Boy Scouts on at 8:40 and the cops. But tune in because she has
Yeah.
information you do not hear anywhere else.
That's
I
right.
promise you.
It'll be very
Her
interesting.
mother still lives in Sierra Leone, and she's getting updates daily.
Oh, man. So we're not going to get Ebola, are we?
Yes, of course we will.
All right, so
because it comes through the phone, Kelly.
So we'll see you tomorrow here on Talk. She's going to be here though, right?
Of course,
in person.
of course.
All right. See you tomorrow. Bye, Jill.
Bye, Kel.